The Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Blockchain Super Conference is coming to Dallas, Texas, February 16, 17, and 18 in 2018. If you know of a better way to get the latest insider knowledge about crypto, to hear directly from the top minds in this field, to interact personally with 800 fellow crypto lovers, hodlers, investors, miners, traders, developers, and founders, then I'd like to hear about it. If you don't, then you don't want to miss out. Register today for the Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Blockchain Super Conference. Go to bitcoinsuperconference.com and register today as a super early bird to get the lowest rates on tickets and hotel rooms. That's bitcoinsuperconference.com.
Welcome to Almost Here, Round the Corner Future Technology Podcast with Richard Jacobs. Future technologies poised to transform our lives for better or worse are the focus of this podcast. Almost Here means these technologies are now here and starting to be used, or just around the corner, from Bitcoin to artificial intelligence, 3D printing, blockchain, virtual reality, and more.
Hello, this is Richard Jacobs with Future Tech Podcast. My guest is Pierre Noizat, founder and CEO of Paymium.com, Paymium. Pierre, how are you?
Good, Richard. Thank you. You?
Yeah, very good. So tell me about Paymium. What do you guys do?
Okay, we are one of the first exchange in the cryptocurrency space. We started the company back in 2011 as a BTC Euro exchange, and we've kept doing that for the past 5 years. The platform has been upgraded in 2013, so the current platform is actually running continuously since 2013.
So it's an exchange of BTC to euros mostly?
Today, that's the only currency pair we deal with in the order book, but we are going to add some more crypto pairs in the coming weeks and months. That's in the works.
How come you guys stuck to Bitcoin only for so long, especially because so many tokens have been created? And why now? Why are you adding pairs now?
Yeah. I think something's happened in 2017 with the market cap of all cryptocurrencies going from, say, 10 billion to or 100 billion. And that's in the course of less than a year. So before that, we felt the business of trading Bitcoin for fiat, like euros, is very specific because it involves AML, KYC, and strong banking relationships. So it's somewhat different from running a crypto exchange where you don't have to worry about a banking partner because everything's in crypto. So that's the main reason. Now we recognize the cryptocurrency market has grown so big that it makes sense to expand to crypto-only currency pairs. So that's the reason, and we are doing that just now.
So you're going to keep your fiat gateway, but add now crypto to crypto pairs?
Yes, we are keeping it. Evidently, it's the hardest part. The hard part is the banking relationships in the crypto space. So who can do more, can do less. We can now easily add more crypto. For crypto, the difficulty is more on the technical side because if people are not careful in integrating new coins or new tokens, they can create big holes in their, for instance, in their accounting. And that's a big obstacle that we want to clear because we are audited every year, and we want to keep our accounting clean and make sure all the cryptocurrency pairs are treated seamlessly and perfectly in the books. The exchanges that have added so many cryptos in such a short period of time may have a huge technical debt that can come back and harm them later if there is a problem with their accounting or whatever other attack on their system. So we don't want
Yeah, what would be the accounting problems? Like, I don't understand. Are they just adding tokens and not even tracking the buys and sells, or what's the accounting problem?
No, they are tracking. The problem is one of the security, because when you run an exchange, you have two security challenges. The first is to keep the private keys secure, and the second is to keep your accounting database secure, because if people mess with your accounting database, then you have an accounting problem. That's basically what killed exchanges like MTGOX and others. Not only the security of the private keys, it's also the security of the accounting. So it's an integral part of the security of an exchange. So if people are not careful with this type of aspects, for instance, how do you deal with downtime or flash crash or whatever, especially for those doing margin trading, leverage, that can become a really daunting accounting nightmare, and we want to stay clear of these kind of problems because we don't think it's worth the trouble. We want to keep doing what we've been doing so far. That is priority. Our priority is security over functionality. We'd rather have fewer cryptocurrencies and be secure than have 100 and run any kind of risk.
Yeah, that makes sense. You're right. I'm thinking as you're talking, and I can imagine the big exchanges with all those trades and all those token pairs, and it must be a lot of accounting. I mean, like unbelievable.
Yeah, I think it's not very transparent. The way they are audited. I've never seen really an audit report for a crypto exchange, but that would be very interesting. We plan to be very transparent, and that's also part of the explaining we have to do. To evangelize the market, we have to pass these kind of messages also. So to customers and potentially regulators, if they ever mean to regulate this activity. That's the big challenge, really.
What kind of issues do you have being a fiat gateway? Do you have a lot of people that use you to get into Bitcoin and then send their Bitcoin elsewhere to other exchanges that trade a lot of pairs? What kind of issues do you have?
Yeah, that's not necessarily a problem because we are earning something. They trade Bitcoin for euros and vice versa. But the gateway, the prime of the fiat gateway that we are is that we are subject to all the frictions that exist between the fiat networks like euro or dollar and the cryptocurrency networks. The fiat networks don't have the same velocity. They are regulated. So that creates some misunderstandings. Sometimes people don't understand that it's different dealing with fiat than dealing with cryptos. So we have, in terms of customer support, it's a challenge because people have very high expectations for the velocity of the transfer. For instance, of a wire transfer, they expect money to be on their account immediately. When obviously it's not the case, at least here in Europe. It takes a full business day, sometimes more, for a wire transfer to reach the destination bank account. So that's the problem we have. But it's more about teaching people how things work under the hood than anything else.
Well, what kind of behavior do you see people have on your exchange? Do a lot of them keep their Bitcoin on there, or does it all leave? What about when it comes in from an outside source? Do you have to verify where it's coming from? And are there certain places that, if someone sends money in from a certain place, private wallet or a certain exchange, that you have to be careful because it could hurt you?
One of the problem we have to deal with is identity theft. We have to make sure the people that we are dealing with are indeed the people that have submitted their IDs when during the customer due diligence that must be performed for people to have to open a euro account. You have to go through customer due diligence. So that's one of the precautions that we are taking regarding opening an account. As far as the origin of the funds, we are required to make sure it can be documented by customers past a certain threshold. If it's an amount relatively small, like 2,500 euros, then the funds are credited. But if the funds are the flow through the account is significant, then we might have to ask people for justification. That's the rule we have to comply with here. Other than that, it's really easy and seamless to use the exchange.
Well, do you see different behavior from different users? Any behavior you see that surprises you? That people keep maybe a lot of money with you, or they don't keep money with you, or people tend to
most people will
buy and hold? What do you see?
Well, most people do buy and hold, unless they are day traders or professional traders. There are some of them on our platform, obviously, but many customers will just convert euros to Bitcoin and leave them with the platform, because they know we do cold storage for the funds, so it's very secure. There are no private keys on customer-facing servers, and therefore they must feel that it's safe to leave them with Paymium. So that's the behavior we can witness for I'd say retail customers. But some of them will pull the Bitcoins to an external wallet, obviously, and especially those that have a hardware wallet. And that's a big success of the hardware wallets in the past year or so. That gives people the means to keep their private keys by themselves, and then they can withdraw the Bitcoins from Paymium. But for others, they just prefer to leave them with us.
Yeah, what is, for listeners, what does a cold wallet for you guys look like? Where do the keys go, and what does a hot wallet look like?
Okay, I cannot give you all the details, but the principle is fairly simple. It's just to generate keys offline, print them or write them on paper, not on electronic devices, and put them in vaults, essentially in vaults. So it can be bank vaults or non-bank vaults. But essentially, what you do is secret splitting or multi-sig, and you use a combination of vaults in different locations so that the coins are stored safely offline, and they cannot be. If one of the vaults is compromised, the keys are still safe, because then you can rotate the keys before any other vault is compromised. So all that is fairly standard practice in the industry, I believe, today. The only debate is about using, for instance, multi-sig over secret splitting. For now, we stick to secret splitting, but the result is the same. The result is that you end up with support that with a piece of paper that is stored safely in different locations, and just one doesn't allow the recovery of the key. You need to combine several of them to recover the key. So that's very safe. It's something you cannot do with gold or with traditional money, and that's why people, I guess, feel safe leaving the Bitcoins in exchanges that do multi-sig or secret splitting.
Okay, makes sense. What do you think most exchanges do? Do you think that they're taking the private keys and putting them on computers that are not connected to the internet, or you think they're actually writing them down? I mean, what do you think the best way is to manage private keys of so many accounts? Are they, are accounts combined? Let's say you have 1 million customers. How do you manage all those private keys? What do you do?
Yeah, that's a good point. There are several ways to deal with that. Most exchanges will use a deterministic wallet to receive deposits, and then they will empty the wallet as often as possible so that there is relatively very little money on the wallet, just the recent deposits, and then move everything to external cold storage. That's essentially what we do. So we have deposits for the past hour or so, basically on the wallet, and everything else is in cold storage. And most exchanges that I know of, as far as I can tell, are using similar practices. I've noticed one exchange, a big one, using a single cold storage address, which I think is not wise, but that's the way they do. So they have to explain. We use a bunch of cold storage addresses so that we can redeem cold storage address as needed without moving the funds of all the cold storage funds. So again, there are different approaches. We try to really be as secure as possible, even if it takes some time, for instance, to redeem a cold storage key. Probably preferable. That's why we do. There can be a delay before you can withdraw bitcoins, but that's the only way to stay safe, in fact.
Okay. And you have a banking relationship for a long time. I mean, it's unusual. A lot of companies and exchanges, the bank stops the relationship, or they don't last long, or they can't get one at all. What do you think that makes it so scary for banks, and why have you been able to maintain a relationship for so long?
I suppose we are very patient, and we did not rush. For instance, into anything. For instance, regarding AML KYC, we never took shortcuts. We always went by the book of AML KYC practice in the banking industry, because really AML KYC is protection. It brings not only compliance for banks, but also it's a way to prevent fraud, because if you know the customer, then it's a way to prevent identity theft and that kind of things. So it's very important, because Bitcoin attracts sometimes the wrong kind of attention from some people, and if we were not careful, we'd have a fraud rate that would be too high, and that would cause the bank to close the relationship. I think that's what's happening with some Bitcoin businesses, or that has been happening in the past, that they were careless about AML KYC, and therefore the fraud rate went to the roof, and the bank closed the account. That's the very common story. So it's a trade-off between customer acquisition and compliance. It's tempting to take shortcuts with compliance and risk management, but it's tempting, but it's very dangerous route, because then it can jeopardize the banking relationship.
Gotcha. All right. So going forward, which pairs are you going to be adding, and when do you think?
Okay, we are working on a release early next year, but no precise date is set yet. So let's say Q1 2018, and we'll be adding essentially we aim at the top 10 cryptocurrencies, at least in a pair with Bitcoin. There could be more currency pairs added over time, but we start with Bitcoin as the pivot, the cornerstone of this new service offering.
Okay, so 2018, we're not sure exactly when, but it's coming. Okay.
Yeah, early 2018, early next year.
Where do your customers come from? I mean, where are you based out of, and what countries do your customers come from primarily?
We are based in Paris, France, and the customers come mostly from Europe. Majority of French customers, but at least a third of them come from other countries, other European countries, and fewer come from outside of Europe. No, because we are dealing in euros only, so it's not very efficient for American citizens to send dollars to us, and therefore it's why we have this geographic focus on European customers, because we are dealing the Bitcoin euro currency pair.
Okay. Do you have any plans to go to any other fiat currency pairs, or just the euro?
Yes, we plan to next year to add, as we add cryptocurrencies, we also add probably a few more fiat currencies. It's part of the roadmap, and this is mostly about banking relationships and good conditions for dealing with these pairs, because it's very costly to manage fiat, as you may know, because the cost of fiat is the operating cost for dealing with fiat money is much higher than with cryptocurrencies. So adding fiat currencies is relatively expensive, and it's not necessarily very profitable if there is not enough liquidity. So we'll add cryptocurrencies first, and then over the course of next year, we might add more fiat currencies if and when liquidity is sufficient.
What are some of the most requested items from your customers? What do they want?
Well, they want all sorts of trade orders. If they are sophisticated traders, they want stop loss orders, that kind of thing. So that's also on the roadmap. Today we have market orders and limit orders. So we'll be adding stop loss and other more advanced trading features very soon. That's on our roadmap, currently being worked on. But other than that, most of our customers come to convert euros to Bitcoin. And that's very easy. It's a very friendly user interface that they find at Paymium. And professional traders use the API, the trading API, that's fairly well documented. So there are really two types of customers: those using the user interface, and they are happy with what we have to offer, and professional traders using the trading API. But in this case, they are requesting more advanced order, but they are happy with limit orders and market orders primarily because Bitcoin is such a volatile currency. It's such a volatile asset that they can make profits on volatility. So advanced features are nice to have, but they're not necessarily a must.
Okay. Any dangers you see, margin, other things that you don't want to add, or you think, shouldn't be added because you think they're a danger to customers? Or do you? Yeah.
Margin trading is very dangerous when you have such a volatility on an asset, but still many platforms are offering this feature. I remember Bitcoinica. I don't know if you remember, one of the first platform to use it to propose margin trading was Bitcoinica. That was a major failure in the Bitcoin ecosystem in the early days. Since then, platforms have become more professional, but I still think margin trading entails a lot of risk for the users and for the platform. So we stay away from it for now. I'm not saying we will never do it, but for now, we stay away from this feature.
Okay. Any other features that you think are important to discuss? Whether they're happening right now or later. Where do you think the exchange portion of the industry is going or should be going?
I think what's going to happen is that the crypto space is going to be more or less regulated, and we might see consolidation. But the thing I would want most from the ecosystem is transparency. In other words, make sure that all these exchanges are solvent at any time, that they are reasonably active in fighting, fraud and money laundering. Other than that, I think it's developing. It's a very dynamic environment, very exciting, and there's not much to say beyond that. I just think we should have a level playing field across exchanges and have good practices so that exchanges are not used for money laundering, because that's hurting the ecosystem as a whole. And that's the only thing I would wish, that everybody use, or the exchanges use the same practices for AML KYC, and then that would be beneficial to I think all the users and to the ecosystem in general.
Is it that difficult to comply with AML KYC, or do you think it's just the culture of crypto is that they don't want that? That's why they fight it.
Yeah, I think it's difficult. It's costly. It's a pain to do this due diligence. We have quite a bit of experience, so we make it as painless as possible for our customers. But I know people that are not familiar, newcomers to the ecosystem, that are launching, for instance, a crypto exchange these days. I think they will have to learn, and otherwise they will face real difficulty going forward. And I don't think it's difficult. I just think it's, as you said, it's not in the culture of developers in general. And there is a need to bridge the gap between this culture of developing things and making things available, feature-rich platforms, and the necessity to prevent fraudulent activity.
Okay. Well, very good. So how can people find out more about Paymium and open an account if they wish, and see what's coming in the future?
Normally, it's very easy and free to use, to go visit Paymium.com, open an account, and get started. They can use a bank card to buy Bitcoins also. That's another feature of the exchange. We are not only an order book exchange, real-time trading exchange, but also over-the-counter selling Bitcoins by credit card. So for newcomers, it's a fairly easy way to get started. So yeah, they should come visit Paymium.com, especially if they are dealing in euros, and soon they will be able to deal with to trade other cryptocurrencies. So it's a good time to sign up.
Well, very good. Well, Pierre, thank you so much for coming on the call, and I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Richard. Thanks to you for inviting me.
The Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Blockchain Super Conference is coming to Dallas, Texas, February 16, 17, and 18 in 2018. If you know of a better way to get the latest insider knowledge about crypto, to hear directly from the top minds in this field, to interact personally with 800 fellow crypto lovers, hodlers, investors, miners, traders, developers, and founders, then I'd like to hear about it. If you don't, then you don't want to miss out. Register today for the Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Blockchain Super Conference. Go to bitcoinsuperconference.com and register today as a super early bird to get the lowest rates on tickets and hotel rooms. That's bitcoinsuperconference.com.
You have been listening to Almost Here, Around the Corner Future Technology podcast with Richard Jacobs. Subscribe to this podcast, post a review to discover more future technologies that are poised to transform our lives for better or worse, such as Bitcoin, artificial intelligence, 3D printing, blockchain, virtual reality, and more.